Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Child Eater. Fresher is better.
Written and directed by Erlingur Thoroddsen, starring Cait Bliss, Colin Critchley, Jason Martin, and Melinda Chilton, Child Eater is based on a short film by the same name.
I googled it.
Which is about the boogeyman. The boogeyman in this case is Robert Bowery, like a psychotic man who 25 years prior to the film would kidnap children out of their rooms and eat their eyes so he can cure his blindness. It's now present day and the sheriff's daughter is babysitting a young boy named Lucas, and Bowery is back and he's got his eye on the prize. This movie was actually recommended by one of our patrons, Scuba Steve, who actually won our monthly movie raffle where they get to choose whatever movie that they want us to review. And this was the third or fourth month that Scuba Steve has recommended a Child Eater. He lost the previous months, but he finally got it. Sticking with it, perseverance. So now let's get into our likes.
I liked the folklore that surrounded this movie. I thought it was really cool.
Lucas doesn't know the history behind this place, so I'd appreciate if we could keep that quiet.
And they introduced this story about the black stork, which goes off of the story where a regular stork brings babies, the black stork takes them and punishes those bad parents and bad babies. So it's like a creepy concept. They're taking two things and tying it in together, and I really liked that.
And in working this in, they had Lucas, who's a young boy who's actually a birder.
I think I saw someone in the woods.
And so this legend is now coming to be, and people start to realize, oh shit, now this is a real thing and we need to stop it. And the Child Eater himself is fucking creepy. Imagine him when he's in like the dark shadows of a closet just lurking beside you.
This character doesn't speak. He lurks. He stays in the shadows. You can barely see him in the darkness, but when he goes to kidnap someone, that's like the creepiest part because he's almost like a Nosferatu, where his like long hands just like slowly reach around.
There's not a lot of jump scares at the beginning, but there are like anticipations of scary things happening. Just a lot of darkness, a lot of looking through windows in the background and reflections in mirrors. The way that it's edited and shot is just awesome because they almost leave scenes lingering so you think that you should be looking out for something, and it just had me rattled the whole time.
I felt the practical effects were good in this film. There's a lot of eye gouging going on. It looks as though someone went in and just poked your eyes right out of their sockets.
I thought the acting was pretty solid. Cait Bliss, who played Helen, which is our main lead, she was excellent.
The farm is off limits. It's very dangerous. You should not go there alone, okay?
I thought her and the chemistry between like all of the other cops involved and everybody else in the story was really natural, including Colin Critchley, who's the young boy. Generally, kids are kind of hit or miss. I thought he did a pretty good job in this. He is annoying because he's kind of a dick at the beginning, but I mean, his acting was still better than average. But his decisions were fucking dumb.
Everyone's decisions were pretty dumb in this one.
That's true. Let's talk about some more bad decisions in the dislikes.
I think my biggest dislike has to be the lighting, and in this film, everything was just too dark. There was too much underlighting and backlighting going on, and it was hard to see what was actually happening in a lot of the scenes.
Yeah, like we get in certain scenes when there's a creepy figure that is supposed to be super dark, but if you're just having two characters talking and there's not a creepy guy in the background, then they don't need to be in complete darkness.
There's so many times where characters are going through the room and they can turn the light on, but they don't. And it doesn't add to the creepy nature of the film. It doesn't add to the ambiance. It just makes it hard to see what they're doing.
And makes them look like poor decision makers. And I think a lot of the decisions in this movie, because it is like a cat and mouse kind of game, they're constantly being chased by the Child Eater, and the decisions they make are just awful. For example, you have little Lucas, who's terrified of everything, yet when it's dark out, he is so happy. He goes outside, he starts exploring. He's afraid of the basement in one scene, and then later on he's creeping around in it. Like it didn't really make any sense.
This isn't so much a dislike as it is a disappointment. The Child Eater is actually more of a man-eater. He definitely had more adult victims than he did children victims.
I used to think children couldn't die. But they can. A lot of them died.
It's not like I'm looking forward to him only killing children. I just would assume that's what I'm getting into, and that's really not the case in this one.
It doesn't quite add up to some of the lore surrounding him, because the way that he's to get his blindness cured is by eating fresh eyes, so the younger the better. And it's almost as if he forgot that whole concept himself. I really like the flow of the beginning because it was scary and you didn't see the child eater really. It's just your imagination going wild. And so when they did start showing the child eater, I think it happened a little bit too soon, and the chase scenes just went on for too long. And you can almost always see him. So while I said that you don't get a good look at him, it's not because he's not on screen. He's on screen, he's just not lit the best. But he's basically in most shots for a large amount of this movie, and I think that takes away from the scarier aspect of this film. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Child Eater had a lot going for it. It had a really cool concept, I enjoyed the lore, and I really liked the scares that it set up. I was genuinely terrified for the first half of this movie. The acting was well done, and it had some great practical effects. However, I think the biggest fault is having the Child Eater on screen for so much of the movie. He almost seemed less threatening because you could see him and you knew where he was going to be. And with this is just kind of the general pacing issue that the movie had. I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy it because it is different, but for me, it didn't quite go in the direction that it started off going in. It's not a bad movie, but it's not a great one, so I'm gonna give this 3 busted up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle masks out of 5.
Child Eater is a movie that I would like to see more concepts of, where they take folklore and kind of turned it into horror. I liked how they played off of the black stork and the whole story behind the Child Eater. I just wish that it was more explored instead of the decisions that they were actually making. The film does suffer from a pacing issue where the first half is really good and the second half feels like a completely different movie, and it really takes you out of it considering where they were building up. I think Bowery looks really creepy when you see him, and his movements are really creepy, so he can scare you, but then the other issue this film has is it's too dark to actually see what's happening through majority of the film. So with that being said, I'm gonna have to give this film 3 bird nightlights out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on Child Eater if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, there are links in the description where you can find it. And if you want the opportunity to recommend a movie through our monthly movie raffle, check out our rewards on Patreon. Links are in the description. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond.